Use the prophecy rigging as well?
Well, there are two aspects of poverty that you have to look at. One is the absence of idea, because poverty basically is not the absence of money. One is the absence of idea. Two is the presence of resources and the unwillingness to maximize the resources. So we in Liberia, we are not poor. Liberia as a country is not a poor country. Liberians are not poor people. The only circumstances I see is the willingness to make use of what we have. If the willingness is there, if the motivation is there, people say Liberians are lazy. I say no, Liberians are not lazy. Liberians are not inspired. The Liberians, most of the Liberians who have on ground, remember, Liberia used to be such a beautiful place that nobody wanted to even come to the city, right? Because everything was available in the interior. Now, after the crisis, everything changed. Now, during the crisis, the ones that were in the city that knew the road to the border left. And now the ones that were in the interior came to the city. And now, from the city they've been since all this, are not all, majority. What do you expect? Now, if you observe, there's a little bit of difference between Liberians who have traveled and those Liberians that has been here continuously. So those ones who have traveled, a lot of us came back with ideas, innovations, and we're trying to, even though it's difficult, but at least we are making efforts. So I don't want to agree to that saying that Liberians are lazy. So getting back to your question, what I'm doing it might not happen today, but will eventually help in reducing poverty, creating employment, reducing dependency on foreign imports in a long way. Well, do we really need international community to come to Liberia? We want to help them. We mustn't always be at the receiving end. We want, there's something we have not really done in Liberia. We've not really sat down to discuss amongst ourselves what kind of Liberia do we want. Do we want kind of Liberia, a Liberia that is always stretching hands to beg, or do we want the Liberia that is always stretching hands to give? What kind of Liberia do we want? That's a very big question we all need to sit down and ask ourselves. And until we sit down and ask ourselves that question, the countries that are smart enough to ask themselves that questions, we can see what they're doing. China is already planning on how to relate to the world in the next 200 years. That's because they have built the kind of China they want. China that will become world power, China that will become an economic power, China that will rule the world. Now, we have not really sit down to ask ourselves, what kind of Liberia do we want? For me, I want Liberia that other countries will call on when they have problem. I want Liberia that other countries will borrow from. I want Liberia that will become a help to other countries. That's the kind of Liberia I want. I don't want Liberia that will import fish. I don't want Liberia that will import crop. Because now we're creating avenue for importing both plastic fish, plastic egg. What if we produce those things ourselves? There will be no need to import before you talk about importing rotten or unhealthy food. Well, I'm a self-motivated kind of guy. Sometimes people don't understand the essence of life. The reason why you are alive is to feel disappointment. If you don't want to feel disappointment, just die. Nobody will disappoint you again. People will celebrate you and nobody will disappoint you again. Right? The essence of life is to feel pain, to feel disappointment, to encounter and conquer challenges. That is the essence of life. Now, the idea of Liberia not being business friendly, I really don't want to agree with that. Liberia is more business friendly than every other country I've been to.
Why you say so?
Well, I know why, but this is one of the best countries to do business. This is one country where if you're determined, you know, we have two kinds of students in college. Students whose parents are begging to go to school, and students who are begging people to help them to go to school, right? Students whose parents are begging to go to school are giving all kinds of conditions. If you don't buy me a car, if you don't do this for me, the other one is saying, just pay my school fees. Now, if you've been to other countries and you see the business climate there, you know that Liberia is not the worst. I'm not saying Liberia is the best, but Liberia is not the worst place to do business. So the challenges are there. The problem I see in Liberia is that most entrepreneurs, they do not even believe in what they are doing. That is why they cannot even make sacrifice, use their own money to commit to what they say they believe. Now, you don't believe in your dream and you want me to believe in my dream to invest in your dream. Let me dream your dream for you. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, you cannot make personal sacrifice to use your own personal resources to run this business to start, and you want an investor to believe in you. If that business is so good, of course you're going to put your all to it. So that's the situation I see in Liberia. But beside that, the challenges has always been there, but they are also, you know, a motivating factor. Because check all over the world, even in the best countries, no entrepreneur found it easy. The only stories we hear are the success stories. Most entrepreneurs don't share their failures, but trust me, a lot of them has failed more times than they have succeeded. So Liberian business climate is friendly.
Okay.
Well, this is basically fish farming, right? But with technology. Every other thing we're doing today, transportation, we have technology, communication, we have technology, school, we have technology. Why not fish farming? Liberia is the only country that is still looking at agriculture from the Stone Age method, right? When international communities come here, they say they come to help agriculture, they want to help Liberia achieve food security, and you start buying cutlass, things that, you know, people at the Stone Age was using. It doesn't make sense. If we want to achieve food security in Liberia, we have to incorporate technology into our agricultural system, and that's exactly what I have done. I'm simply using technology to do fish farming. That's why I have been successful kind of with what I'm doing. So basically, it's all about technology-driven fish farming.
Someone would like for you to explain more. How do you go about the fish farming?
Okay, you raise fish. First of all, we're raising fish in the most unusual places, right? We're raising fish on land, in plastic, not in swamp, not in river, right? We're raising the fish on land, like you can see in my yard, and then we're raising the fish in plastic, because science has helped us to understand that what fish actually needs to survive is just oxygen and food, and not water. So based on that, if you can give them enough oxygen, water to fish is like land to man. You don't eat land, but you need land to move around, right? So now, put the fish in a confinement, give them a means of moving around, and make sure there's enough oxygen there and there's enough food. They will grow as if they're in the wild. Give them balanced diets. You don't have to add antibiotics or chemical, just give them balanced diet. So that also means you have to go into science and understand what a balanced diet is for fish, and you feed it to them. That's all. That's exactly what we have done here.
So how many times you feed them a day?
We feed like every 1 hour if we have 24 hours electricity, because the water is constantly going, coming and going, coming and going. But if the water is not constantly flowing, you add more feed, the feed will pollute the water and deplete the water of oxygen. So you feed less than every hour. So maybe like 3 times, you know, or every 3 hours to avoid water pollution.
When do you think that is too costly for you?
If you think starting a business is costly, try getting employment.
So, first let me ask you this question. What type of food you feed them with?
We feed them with mixed materials from our environment. We have the cassava leaf, potato grain, boni, wheat bran, belly from beer factory, cow blood, and most of our kitchen waste. So the thing is, once you know the crude protein content of every element that is around you, you can use the Pearson square formula to do the calculation and get the exact percentage. For instance, cassava leaf has about 27% protein, and wheat bran has about 11% protein, right? Now, if the fish, maybe like the younger fish, they need like 48% protein. So you have certain amount of cassava leaf, wheat bran, potato grain, and whatever have you that you will combine with Pearson square formula to get 48% protein. So when you combine all these elements together and feed the fish, they grow like they're in the wild. So that's how we formulate the feed, basically with things around us.
Okay, do you have some employees here also?
Yes, we do have employees. We do have employees. At the point, we had like 9 people in our employment who works here, because we're expanding, and just how we're expanding, the responsibility, it's becoming larger. You definitely cannot automate the system, right? So we forced to employ people.
Recently, I learned that you take this. Sometimes ago, last week, you were on Bethesda campus. Can you tell what you want to do there?
Well, the last time we had a workshop, the last time we had the free workshop here, we advertised on Facebook, and we had people from all over the country attend. So they came up to me and said, hey, look, we have a school and we think we want to incorporate aquaculture into our agriculture curriculum. We want to, in the exact word, we want to, we want our students to really learn something, so that by the time they graduate from high school, they already have a skill. And so we went into discussion. So I now had to go to their school, to go into in-depth teaching. And so right now they have started building their farm, which I'm assisting them. So we've built like 9 tanks, and they're going to produce both fish and vegetable. We're also going to use the aquaponic technology to produce vegetable for them. First thing first, like I said, Liberians are not inspired. That's our biggest problem. And secondly, the idea of drugs, who doesn't know what drugs do to people? Sometimes people don't know. You just need to show them. There are videos of the effect of drugs on people. Show them the video. Like, I once had a boy in this environment who was trying to get into, he just got into the habit of drugs recently. And I downloaded a movie from the internet of how cocaine is being made. He saw them. I asked him, I said, can you drink gasoline? He said no. What of caustic soda? He said no. What of cement? He said no. I said, but with this thing you're taking all those things. He said it's not possible. I showed him a video from YouTube of how drugs is made in Brazil, how cocaine is made in Brazil. He started watching the video, he started crying. And from then, he has turned a new leaf. Right? So, for the guys, sometimes they've not seen. They only watch movies, and what they see in movie, they are inspired by what they see in movie, how drug lords live large, and they think the same thing is applicable. So show them, tell them the whole story. The movie only showed one part of the drug lord story. They didn't show how that drug lord is going to end up, and all that. So, trying to tell them don't do drugs, no. You can talk from now to tomorrow. It's not going to change anything. Inspire them. The key word here is inspire people. You cannot aspire to acquire what you have not seen. Right? So what you're doing is very good. It goes a long way to help people to understand. Because nobody would have ever aspired to do this kind of Bethesda is doing what they are doing because they've seen it. But Bethesda was established in 1982 or 83. They're somewhere around there in the 80s. And they've never thought of doing something like this because they've not seen it. So it's all about inspiration. Now, for the young people of Liberia, look, whether we like it or not, they are the future, right? So, how you make your bed, it's how you're going to sleep on it. Now, most of the question our young people has not asked themselves, the kind of thing I'm doing now, have you investigated to find out people who did this same thing, how they ended up? That's one thing I did a lot as a young man. That's why I decided to be an entrepreneur. I've never seen anybody get successful by working with government and not stealing. Right? So because all the people I've known, they all work for government, they have nothing to show for, when I mean work for government, as civil servants and all that, right? And then they are not even, they are not exposed to the opportunity to steal. And the way they end up, I don't envy them. But I've seen people who persevered as entrepreneurs and they end up living the kind of lifestyle they want, which I also want to live. So they inspire me. So for the young people, I just want to tell you that nothing happens by accident. You own your future. You are responsible for your future. What your parents did not give you, you can get.